Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to complete a series of tasks for ISIS on OcNOS devices. The task consists of these. I'm going to enable MD5 authentication on all the core links. This means that my backbone should be configured with MD5 authentication for LSPs and hello messages. The other one says the authentication should use a keychain named Orhan, and all core devices should use MD5 authentication for level 2 LSPs. This is almost the same thing on all three of them. What I need to do is to enable authentication. I can enable authentication in two different levels here. There are multiple levels of authentication. We can have a domain password, which is going to configure everything for level 2. I can have area password, which configures authentication for level 1. But here I'm just going to use authentication, which is going to be a generic thing for me. Here is a topology. As you can see in my topology, there is a backbone domain which is marked as area 1, and this is going to be the point of interest for us. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see what we have here. In this topology there are 3 routers connected using one broadcast network, all of them connected to switch 1. Okay, so let's start this. Configuring authentication is super easy. So the task asks me to use a keychain. So first of all, I'm going to go to router 2 and I'm going to create a keychain, and the name should be this. And under that I'm going to create a key ID. Let's say key ID of 1 is okay, but you should know that the key ID should be the same on all of the devices. And hit enter, and after that we have key string, which is, let's say for example, Orhan, and I'm going to hit enter. Now this keychain of course has only one key ID, and this is valid for all time, but you can configure a send and receive time for the keys if you want to have multiple keys, but this is the simple thing that I'm just going to do right now. I'm going to exit this, and then I'm going to go to router ISIS OcNOS and hit enter. Under this, what I'm trying to do is to use the command authentication, but let me check the commands first of all. There are lots of commands here. The ones that are interesting for us is 1 area password, like I said, for level 1. And if I just go down, domain password, which is by default there, and if we configure authentication we have to remove it. This is for level 2. And of course authentication, which is going to be interesting for us. And by default, if I just say show run and hit enter until I get to this part, you can see that there is a domain password. By default this is WR on all of the devices. I'm going to just remove this and then continue with authentication. So I'm going to say no domain password, and then I'm going to say authentication. And after authentication you can have 2 commands here. 2 of them are more important. One of them is mode, which you can configure to clear text or MD5. One of them is keychain, which we are going to use it right now. Both of them support level 1, level 2, or both of them. I'm going to use it for level 2 because the task asks me so. So I'm going to say mode should be MD5, and of course I want to show you the modes here, MD5 and test. So mode should be MD5, and after that, which one I'm using level 2. And the other one, I'm going to just go to here and say keychain, and the keychain was Orhan. And after that, again it asks me whether you want to use this keychain for level 1 or level 2. So I'm going to use it for level 2. That's all I need to do the configuration of authentication here. I'm going to say commit and wait for this, and I'm going to save the configuration because I do not really want to lose everything. Okay, so let's show run because I want to copy the commands into a notepad. So let me just open a notepad here, and the configuration which I'm interested in is this keychain. So I'm going to copy this keychain first of all, put it in here, and then the rest of the configuration goes under here. So this is the configuration which I need, and also no domain password should be added as well. So I'm just going to paste it here, and I'm going to say no domain password. Okay, so this is the configuration that I have. And in the end, I'm going to say commit and also save the configuration. Okay, so let's copy this, go to router 3 and router 4, and of course I needed to say configuration mode, and then on router 4, of course, the same thing. So paste it. Okay, so we have this authentication enabled in here. So first of all, let's do some verification commands. Show ISIS interface. Let's say, for example, on router 4, that is ETH2. So ETH2. It says that I have my adjacencies here, which is okay, without any problem. And the next thing that I want to do is to say show CLNS neighbors. You can see that my neighbor adjacencies are up and running, so without any problem, and the whole time is refreshing. And finally, show IP route. That says I am reaching to every part of the network without any problem. Now the other thing which I want to do is to go to one of these routers, let's say for example router 4, and I'm going to capture the messages. So let's open this, capture Ethernet 2, and I'm going to go with CSNPs here. So I'm just waiting for the CSNP to come up and check it. Here there is none. We have hello messages and this CSNP message. Okay, so I chose the CSNP message, and if I open this complete sequence number protocol data unit here, if I just go down, you can see this authentication enabled for us. So the authentication type is MD5, as you can see here, message digest, and this is the hash which is created for us, and the LSP entries of course are here. So we have done this authentication here, but in extra I want to show you something. We can have authentication under interface level as well. I want to configure the authentication between router 7 and router 5, so let's do that. So first of all, I want to use this keychain. So I'm going to copy this keychain to router 7 and router 5. So I go to router 7 and I'm going to create this keychain, and on router 5, of course, I'm going to create this keychain. Okay. Now the interface which is connecting these two is Ethernet 2. So on here on router 5, I'm going to say interface ETH2. And for now, you should see that CLNS adjacencies is in there. I'm connected with router 7. I am adjacent with that. So I'm going to say ISIS authentication. Again, there are two lines of commands. The first one, authentication mode, and I'm going to say this is going to be of type MD5. And I could go with level 1 or level 2, but I'm going to hit enter. And the next one, I'm going to say ISIS authentication, and I'm using the same keychain that I used there. So the name is Orhan. I could again go with level 1 or level 2, but because this is just level 1, I'm just going to hit enter. So I'm going to say commit. So this is done. If I say show CLNS neighbor, now I should not have my adjacencies up and running. After some time, it should really time out and go away. So hold time is decreasing, 9, 8, and it is going down, and after some time you should see that the neighbor is going to fade away, and I'm not going to have this adjacency anymore. That is because authentication is not in place on router 7. So let's go to router 7 and do the same commands. I can just copy the commands from here. The two commands are these. On Ethernet 2. So I would go to here and say interface Ethernet 2, these two commands, commit, and if I say show CLNS neighbor, now you should see that R2 is a neighbor again, R5 is a neighbor. Now it is initialization, and after some time it is up and running. So let's save the configuration, or let's do this for all of the routers. I'm going to say end on all of these routers, and I'm going to say WR for them to do that. And with this, we have achieved all the goals for these tasks. And I hope this has been informative for you, and see you in the next video.